In this question, you will be asked to give your opinion about a familiar topic. After you hear the question, you will have 15 seconds to prepare your response and 45 seconds to speak. Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Children should be required to learn practical skills in school, such as cooking or personal finance, in addition to academic subjects. Use details and examples to explain your opinion.
Please prepare your answer after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep.
In this question, you will read a short passage about a campus situation and then listen to a talk on the same topic. You will then answer a question using information from both the reading passage and the talk. After the question, you will have 30 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak. Read an article from the university newspaper. You will have 45 seconds to read the article. Begin reading now. Now listen to two students discussing the article.
So, what do you think of this?
Well, I think it's a good idea. Necessary, too.
Why is that?
Well, I've actually been up to the admissions office a couple times, like to pick up some information for a friend, and every time I've ever been there, wow, you can tell they're really busy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those staff members are running around like crazy, on the phone, doing interviews, dealing with tons of paperwork, so I can totally believe what they're saying about the time factor. Seems like having one less thing to worry about will be a good thing.
Sounds like it.
Yep. Oh, and about the other point?
The, different perspective thing?
Mm-hmm. I think people like us would be really good at this. Unlike, I remember when I was first shown around the campus, the guy leading he was super nice, but there were some questions that he couldn't really answer from experience.
Like what?
Well, practical things. Which are the noisier dorms, or which ones are quietest, which student cafeteria he'd recommend, stuff he didn't have first-hand knowledge about. I mean, how could he?
I see. Our point of view might be more helpful.
The woman expresses her opinion about the university's plan. Briefly summarize the plan, then state her opinion about the plan and explain the reasons she gives for holding that opinion.
Please prepare your answer after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep.
In this question, you will read a short passage on an academic subject and then listen to a talk on the same topic. You will then answer a question using information from both the reading passage and the talk. After the question, you will have 30 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak. Read a passage about irrational commitment from a psychology textbook. You will have 50 seconds to read the passage. Begin reading now. Listen to part of a lecture from a psychology class.
So, I have a personal example. Some years back, my wife and I were looking for a house to buy. We found this great old house out in the country. But my wife had her doubts about it. She noticed the house wasn't in very good condition. It was a little run down and probably needed some repairs. But I really fell in love with the architecture of the house, the unusual way it was designed and built. So I convinced my wife that we could hire people to fix it up and, make the house nice. We decided to buy it and live there after the repairs were finished. Well, the workers we hired to repair the house soon discovered things were worse than I'd thought. It turned out that the roof was damaged and needed expensive repairs. After the roof was repaired, the workers discovered the house had electrical problems. Most of the wiring was bad and would have to be replaced at a huge cost. Well, at this point, my wife reminded me of her earlier doubts about the house and wondered if we could ever get it in good shape. But I just became more determined than ever. I paid for all the wiring to be replaced by an electrician. But it gets worse. The electrician noticed that insects had eaten into some of the walls, and they would also have to be torn out and replaced. This was going to be more expensive than all the other repairs. But by this point, I felt determined to keep going. I kept thinking, I have to do it. If I stop now, my wife will think I was wrong for not following her advice.
Explain how the example from the professor's lecture illustrates irrational commitment.
Please prepare your answer after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep.
In this question, you will listen to a short lecture. You will then be asked to summarize important information from the lecture. After you hear the question, you will have 20 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak. Listen to part of a lecture in a biology class.
Many animals live underground in the soil. Not just little animals like worms, but also bigger animals like mammals. Living underground has advantages. It protects animals from above-ground predators. However, the underground environment also presents challenges, and animals that live underground have developed physical adaptations to deal with them. One challenge is, simply how to move underground through the dirt. Another challenge for the animal is to protect vulnerable parts of its body from the environment that it's moving through. Now, moving through soil is not like moving through air or water, because soil, earth, is thick and dense. So animals that live underground have evolved physical features that help them move through dirt efficiently. For example, the mole, a small furry mammal, has really wide, super strong front feet with big claws. The mole's feet act like shovels, so it can dig through the dirt. The claws cut into the dirt, loosen it up, and then once the dirt is loosened up, the broad feet throw the dirt behind the mole as it moves forward. These shovel-like front feet allow a mole to dig its way through the dirt astonishingly quickly. But even for an animal that can move efficiently through the dirt, living underground can still be problematic because it's easy for particles to get caught in sensitive parts of the animal's body, like for mammals, in their eyes. So underground animals have developed adaptations to prevent this. Again, let's take the example of the mole. To begin with, moles have tiny eyes, and these eyes are covered with a thin skin, a protective membrane that's actually got hair on it. These hairs protect the mole's eyes from dirt particles. So as the mole goes digging through the dirt with its head pushed forward, the dirt particles come into contact with the hairy membrane covering the mole's tiny eyes, and the particles just slide by, don't get caught in the mole's eyes. So the eyes, the mole's sensitive parts, are protected.
Using the example of the mole, explain two different types of underground adaptation.
Please prepare your answer after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep.
I'm not too sure about mandatory cooking lessons for children in school, but if it comes to personal finance, I think it's hard to overstate the importance of money in the life of any person. So having a grasp on how money functions and how to control it and to understand how much money you make, how much money you spend, uh, these kinds of skills are invaluable for anyone, and not having at least a basic grasp on how that works can be very detrimental to children.
I think that children should be required to learn practical skills in addition to academic subjects. Because in the real world, we have to know how to handle finances, do chores, learn how to cook to be able to survive. In the Philippines, we actually have a subject called home economics where we learn how to sew, cook, clean, and a lot more. The subjects had activities like a cooking show and also exams on these practical skills. It really helped me survive college since I live alone and have to do everyday decisions and all the chores.
The university basically has a plan to mm, for the tours of the university for new students or prospective students. The university wants them to be guided by students rather than administration staff. The university explains this by saying that the administration is already burdened with other tasks that need to attend to, and they simply don't have the time to perform them. Um, the woman says that she's very happy about the idea. She says that uh, her experience with the administration staff is that they are always very busy and have little time to attend to students' needs. And also, her second point is that the students can offer a unique perspective of how student life really is in the campus.
The passage was about a plan to let students do the campus tour for secondary students that wants to attend the university instead of the school staff. The reason was they did not have enough time to lead it and they think that students can offer so much more perspective to the visitors during campus tours. The woman said that she agrees with the plan because she had seen the admission staff being busy with all the paperwork and the phone calls. The staff are handling more than what they can do. She also said that it will also be a great idea to share some experience or insights to new students about the campus because she had an experience where the staff couldn't answer questions about the campus during the tour, like, for example, which cafeteria is better. So she totally agreed that the students should give the campus tour instead of the school staff.
Irrational commitment is the process in which a person has difficulty perceiving that they are so invested in a particular concept, idea, or a project that it is hard for them to see that the costs of completing this project or working on a specific idea is so great that it outweighs the benefits. In the example given by the professor, the problems first started out small with the repair of a roof, then gradually grew to bigger and bigger problems, and the professor did not see that he is so invested in repairing this new house that they bought with his wife that the costs very quickly outgrew the overall value.
Based on the passage, irrational commitment is when sticking on your guts that a project will still succeed even though it's showing a lot of possibilities that it will fail. A person can really be committed on a project rather than giving up. The professor gave an example of how him and his wife bought a house that the wife really didn't think was a good idea because there are a lot of repairs needed to be done just by the looks of it. But he convinced the wife to buy it and decided to fix it. Nevertheless, during the repair of the new house, the workers discovered a lot of underlying issues of the house. He needed to spend more money than expected. He was still really determined to fix everything, though, because he didn't want his wife to think that he made a bad decision.
In the fragment of the lecture by the professor, she described two distinct adaptations of the mole and its ability to move underground. The first one is its shovel-like feet that contain sharp claws at the end. These feet are used to first dig into the ground in front of the mole and loosen it up using its claws, and after the ground is loose, it can push it back to the sides using its very broad front feet. The second adaptation is a skin-like membrane on the very tiny eyes of the mole. This membrane contains small hairs that allow the dirt to pass over the membrane and not get stuck into the mole's eyes.
The professor in biology class explained the types of underground adaptation for animals. Those are how to move through dirt and how to protect their body from dirt. He used the mole as an example with their super strong white feet. They are able to dig through the dirt efficiently and quickly. He compared those feet with a shovel that threw the dirt behind the mole. Now he explained the protection of the hairy membrane on the mole's eyes that cover the sensitive part of it. With this hairy membrane, the dirt only slides by and don't get caught in the mole's eyes. And that's how the professor explained those two types of underground adaptation.